Thank you. Good morning, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Stranraer Common Good Subcommittee on Wednesday, the 19th of June, 2024. I would let you know at this point that this meeting will be live streamed on Teams and that recording will be available online shortly after the finish of the meeting. Members may notice that when calling members to speak, I will refer to them formally and using their title, i.e. Councillor Smith, so that it is clear who are councillors and who, by the process of elimination, are officers. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting, writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. If you're in the hall, you can do this on your iPhone or iPad. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it's intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any member has to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or write leave in the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting so we can keep track on whether we're quorate. All members should speak clearly, taking their time and speaking directly into the microphone when making contributions. When referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions in areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. So I'll start off with item 1, which is the Cedrin. Apologies, and I approve members' remote participation. We've got myself, the Chair, Councillor Dashburn, Councillor Scobie in the room, and I think we've got Councillor Giusti online. Ingrid, is that correct, Cedrin? Thank you.
Morning, Chair, morning, members. Yes, that's who I have here. I was expecting a community rep, Robert Downey, this morning, but I don't think he's with us.
Okay.
Apologies from Robert Downey. He texted me this morning, can he make it? So apologies there.
Thank you, Councillor Scobie. Thank you.
Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have any statements or connections or declaration of interests? Councillor Giusti.
Thank you, Chair. It's just clear that I had a meeting with the Millennium Centre, and it was myself that recommended that they should try Common Good Fund. I don't think it's a decision that would take me out of the meeting, but it would just put it out there.
Okay. Yep. I myself was also who met with them previously, so I suppose that's a statement of connection for the two of us. Thank you. Item 3, minutes of previous meeting, 26th of January 2024. Are we happy to note and approve? Which were approved, well, the minutes were actually approved by the last full council, so we're just noting these. Thanks. Item 4, applications for financial assistance from Stranraer Common Good Fund, report by the Head of Thriving Communities. The purpose of this report is to ask members to consider applications for financial assistance from applicants being Stranraer Development Trust, the Millennium Centre and Stranraer Water Sports Association. So I'll go through the applicants and then we'll move on to the recommendations afterwards. I don't know, if Ingrid, do you walk us through them if you can? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So today we have Stranraer Development Trust who are requesting £5,000 of funding from Stranraer Common Good towards continued funding for the post of Gateway to Galloway project officer. And the role will continue to support the services at the hub. I can advise members today that in terms of the scoring panel, their recommendation is a nil award, and that is due to the criteria at point 13 stating that applications will not be considered for organisations applying for assistance for more than 3 consecutive years. Obviously, members can decide for themselves how they want to consider this application, but I just wanted to highlight that is in there in terms of the criteria. I don't know if you want to take them one by one, Councillor Dashworth.
Yeah, but I think if we could just do it one by one. So no, thank you for that, Ingrid. Do any members have any comments on this specific one? So it's £5,000 from Stranraer Development Trust towards the funding of a Galloway project officer and to continue to support their services at the hub. Do any members have any comments? No. Okay. So just if we could just move on to the next one and then we can make the decision at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. So the Millennium Centre, Stranraer Millennium Centre are requesting £19,634 from Stranraer Common Good Fund Subcommittee towards filling the gap of funding until the outcome of submitted applications have been confirmed. The funding is requested to support with the covering of the running costs for the centre for the next 3 months.
Thanks, Ingrid.
And the scoring panel's recommendation for that particular application. Sorry, Chair.
No, you're okay. It's a partial recommendation, I believe.
Yes, it's 19,000 and I think it's 19,300 is what's been recommended. Sorry, I've got too many pieces of paper in front of me this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Do any members have any comments on that one? It's quite a significant award. It's quite high, so it's something to note. Councillor Hill, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, hi. I think it's quite a significant award as well. And I kind of wonder if it's to continue with the running of the Millennium Centre. Are they not self-funded or are they just grant funded?
To my knowledge, that they're a bit of both. So they have some income from room charges and such, but a lot of their funding is just reliant on external grants. I don't know if Ingrid, you can jump in.
Yes, so just exactly what you say, Councillor Dashford, that's right. They do generate income from the rental of rooms and accommodation within the facility, but they also do rely on external funds as well, and they have got a number of funding applications that are currently awaiting a decision on at the moment.
I'm just kind of a wee bit concerned that in order for it to continue running, that maybe they maybe need a wee bit of support as well moving forward, because this is quite, you know, a lot. And if they don't get this funding, then what state does the Millennium Centre end up in? And they don't get the other grant funding. That's just a concern, Ingrid.
Yeah, and I can confirm that through yourself, Chair, I can confirm that we do have officers in there supporting this organisation at the moment in terms of seeking other forms of funding. So they have applications into the National Lottery Community-Led Fund, the Region 1 Community Fund, the Summer Activity Fund, Cash for Kids, and they did also apply to the Coastal Benefit Fund, but they were unsuccessful on that occasion. So we're awaiting a number of funders to let them know how their applications are progressing. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. I suppose the point that I would query is that they do just say running costs within the application, and you know that could mean any number of things, I suppose. So it is a little bit vague. We could maybe do with more clarity around that. When I met with them previously, I think it was mostly about staff costs and such. So it is day-to-day operational costs that they're seeking money for. So just that clarity, that's great. Moving on. Oh, Councillor Scobie. Yep.
Thank you, Chair. Similar to some of the comments that have been made, notwithstanding the scoring panel comments, I just wonder how would they demonstrate on the criteria, items 1 and 10. Item 1 being that the subcommittee may won't award grants for any purpose as long as the applicant can demonstrate in detail how the grant will be of lasting and direct benefit to the inhabitants of Stranraer. And the other one in item 10, grants towards events will only be paid whereby events are free of charge to as many inhabitants of Stranraer as possible. I just wonder if the scoring panel looked at that and what their views were on these two criterion.
Ingrid, can I bring you in on that one?
I don't have. I mean, I wasn't involved in the scoring panel myself, but I do know, certainly from the comments that have been left as far as the Millennium Centre is concerned, that in the opinion of the scoring panel, they thought that they did meet the criteria for the fund fully.
I think I would want to satisfy myself that those two are met, that they can demonstrate, and notwithstanding the scoring panel on this. And the other one is, as we have done in the past, we could look at awarding a loan. I think they're saying that they're waiting on an award to come through. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes,
The funding will enable the
Chair,
centre, centre lets events and activities continue until the funding from the lottery is awarded. So if the common good were minded, they could give a loan and come to a payback arrangement. We have done that in the past with different organisations.
It does also say within item 7 of the criteria that it's preferred to give loans instead of grants, just in terms of balancing the books. Councillor Giusti, hand up.
Thanks, Chair. Just going in on that. From the reading of the application, it says to fill the gap with this funding. And does that mean that this is a gap where they have no funding, and even if they do get the funding, will it be backdated to cover these 3 months?
So they do have, it states in their application that they do currently have £20,000 or thereabouts in their free reserves. So I would assume that means that they, like any other organisation, those would be to cover, you know, any issues in terms of their staffing should the project fail. I'm sorry, I can't remember the last bit of your question, Councillor Giusti.
So as it says, it's to bridge the gap for this 3 months. The question is, the funding applications that they have in that they're waiting from, if they are granted, are they backdated to the time that they're needing? Are they backdated for those 3 months? Would they be able to pay back a loan with that backdated cash?
I think my understanding is that they're requiring this money to fill that 3 month gap until they have assurances that they have funding in place.
Andrew, is that satisfactory?
Yeah, that satisfies the question.
Okay, thank you. If I could just move us on to the third and final application. Ingrid, can you walk us through the water sports one?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So Stranraer Water Sports Association are requesting £10,000 to contribute towards the holding of the Skiffy World 2025 St Iles Coastal Rowing World Championships.
Yeah, good stuff. I believe the Water Sports Association was also just very successful recently in terms of getting, I think it was 25k from the People's Postcode lottery organisation. So, yeah, hopefully they'll be able to put on a really good event next year. Members, any questions on this specific one?
Chair, I just wonder what the last part is. And again, I would concur. This is a huge event coming in 2025, which we all know. It gives us global publicity. Scoring panel identified additional areas for further information, which were put to the group and answers received. I just wonder what those answers were. Firstly, what the questions were, and secondly, what the answers to that. Again, referring to the inhabitants, and they do refer to free events in this one. It's really if there was, and there is scope for us to defer this issue for further information.
I see your hands up, Councillor Hill. I'll just bring in Ingrid first. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. So I do have some information that has been left for me regarding the questions that the scoring panel asked. So they wanted to check what deposits were needed for July 2024. So they said that the deposits for marquees, toilets, a sound system, large TVs to display racing, first aid, all needed to be paid by July this year. to secure the bookings and services. They asked which quotes were in place. So the quotes that were in place were for the marquees, the large screens, the audio systems, the toilets, and that some providers were willing to wait until more funding was secured. They're working on getting the first aid quotes, and because the previous group had stopped providing that service during COVID. They were asked what would happen if match funding was not in place. So they said that they would host the event no matter what. Their own evening would take place the best that they could. It wouldn't be as big a community event as they'd anticipated, but entries are already in place for some of the international teams, including teams from Tasmania, America, Holland and Canada. They asked if procurement processes are in place for suppliers, local trades and services being utilised, and they said yes, but not all services were local to Stranraer, but the majority were from Dumfries and Galloway wider area. They asked what the people of Stranraer in particular were getting this year. So hosting the local regatta Fin and Foil brings 50 competitors. Events and activities will be marketed for community members, and the 1Q foil and the file, sorry, excuse me, and the final 2 for selection, and been encouraging people to get involved in rowing. It's a big promotional drive around rowing and linking in with the local schools. And they were also asked about marquees. Do they have links with other groups? And they said that they have had conversations with other groups regarding big marquees, but a consideration needed to be required around the training of staff to erect and dismantle, just in terms of health and safety. They're also speaking to Ian Bar, excuse me again, sorry, regarding major festivals and events funding. I hope that's helpful for members.
Willie, is that okay?
It would have been helpful, Ingrid, if it was in the report, the questions and answers. But grateful for what you've provided us by way of clarification.
Councillor Hill, I saw your hand flash up just briefly.
Yeah, no, Ingrid's answered the questions, thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Giusti.
Thanks, Chair, for letting me in. Chair, just to rewind this, actually, I should have asked it earlier on, I wouldn't think time. Application 1, Stranraer Development Trust. In our scoring panel comments, it says that they've had funding for 3 consecutive years, but that's the only comments we have for it. Was there any other comments on that, Ingrid, or is that the only downfall that we have there?
That's the only information that I have received as far as the scoring panel comments. I think they've probably had a look at the criteria, you know, given my knowledge of how the scoring panel works. They'll have looked at the criteria and determined that in terms of the criteria, point 13, that it was not eligible. But again, it's for members to decide how they want to consider that application.
Okay, thank you. Right, so do we have any further questions about the specific applications? No. So, Councillor Hill.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Yeah, so with the water sports one, you've come back and the scoring panel asked lots of questions and you had lots of answers. Have the scoring panel gone back to the other 2 and asked lots of questions, please?
Yeah, through yourself, Chair. Just to say that in terms of the Millennium Centre application, they had confirmed it wasn't in terms of the scoring panel, but they had come back to say that they confirmed that the funding to cover the Ocean Youth Trust trip would be covered by their existing funds and not part of the funds allocated for Stranraer Common Good, and that bar stock was questioned, but the group have confirmed that this will be purchased from existing funds, so common goods wouldn't be used for that.
Okay. I'll just bring you in a minute, Councillor Giusti, but Ingrid, so It says 4.15, if members are minded to support the recommended applications in full, there would be nothing left in the budget for the rest of the year. How does that work in terms of, because I'm aware we've got another common good scheduled for later down on the year. Usually we open up around Christmas time for Christmas events and such. Does that mean that there would be no money at all left later in the year when that happens? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, there is the option for members to draw down from capital reserves. So that would be effectively dipping into the bigger pot that the Stranraer Common Good holds. But again, that's up to members to decide if they want to draw any money down.
Okay, yeah, because I wouldn't want us to be Scrooges at Christmas and have nothing left. Councillor Giusty.
Thanks, Chair. I was going to come forward with a proposal if you're ready for a proposal at this time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chair, I propose that we go with the recommendations and that we award portrait member scoring panel to the Millennium Centre and to the Water Sports Association. But I'd also suggest that we, because we're in unprecedented times, I think we need to be shown to support tourism and to support Stranraer and support the development of the tourism sector. So I think if we dip into our capital reserves to provide the Stranraer Development Trust with a full award as well, that would be my proposal.
So just to clarify, you're proposing that we support all applications and dip into capital reserves to support the Development Trust?
Yes, Chair. And I would suggest that when we come to a future meeting at Christmas time, we maybe look at our capital reserves, maybe and opening them up again. But I don't know how other members feel about that. But we are in unprecedented times. I think that we need to be as supportive as we can.
Okay. Ingrid, could I just ask in terms of governance how that would work, dipping into the capital funds? Do you know? Because if as a committee today we say, you know, we've got such and such money in the bank, but we want to spend more than what we've got, how does that work then through governance? Does that go back to FPT or whoever? I don't know. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair. No, it would be a case of working with our colleagues in finance and Bruin Dolphin, who hold your portfolio, and drawing that money down. That's what would be required.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other comments or recommendations?
Chair, I'm totally in support of dipping into capital as and when it's required, and the applications will determine as and when we may need to do that. And that should be made available to us anyway, at any time. I have concerns in terms of what Andrew's suggesting in going against the scoring panel and setting a precedence that's going against our own criteria. So I would have concerns about that, notwithstanding the work that the Stranraer Development Trust do, and again the promotional aspect to that. So I would I would ask the committee to give serious consideration to that. In terms of the Millennium Centre Community Trust, given its funding gap, I would much prefer that we look at loan and payback arrangements on that one. And on the Water Sports Association, again, I would want further clarification in terms of the free events, how we involve communities, schools, and make available some of the space that would be created in that centre when they do set up, so that they could be part of Skiffy World. So I'd seek further clarification on that. Thank you.
Ingrid.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've just had a quick look at the application for the Skiffy World, and it does state in there that the event would be free for everyone to attend. Hope that's helpful.
That's not the same as what I'm saying. I'm saying what space would be available within the structure for community groups in terms of what they may put on and how they could benefit from the actual event. That's not the same as say that it'll be free. That's one criteria being met, but that's what I'm asking.
Councillor Hill.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I think they're all great groups that do wonderful things for Stranraer and the community. I totally understand what Councillor Scobie is saying there about overstepping or sort of like setting a precedent. But my suggestion would be, I do agree that the Millennium Centre does need some support, but my suggestion would be part loan, part grant. So potentially 10,000 loan, 9,634 grant. The Development Trust, I understand what Councillor Joost is saying, so potentially give a part, say 3,000, towards the tourism aspect, because we do need to encourage people into the town. And Stranraer Water Sports Association, from what Ingrid said, you know, they are going to involve the schools, so I'd be quite happy to give them the 10,000, and that would leave something in the reserve funds for Christmas, so we wouldn't be being a Scrooge as you suggested, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'm in your hands, members. Regards to the Millennium Centre, if we want to, I mean, well, you talked about a loan. Would you be okay with what Councillor Hill has suggested in terms of a partial loan, rather than saying the full amount as a loan? So some of it as a grant and some of it as a loan.
I'll make my position clear, Chair. You know, I would prefer the loan. It's up to other members.
Councillor Giusti.
Thanks, Chair. A question at this point for Ingrid. Ingrid, what is the total amount of our capital reserve at the moment, please?
I'm afraid I don't have that answer, but I can certainly get it for members. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Will you be able to get it before we make a decision today?
I could try and make a call now, if that would be helpful.
At your leisure, Chair.
Can you say that again? Sorry, Councillor Giusti.
I'm happy to wait, Chair, if the committee are. Okay.
I'm in your hands. If that's what you want to propose as a way forward. What I am conscious of, though, I would just say is certainly since I've been chair of this Common Good Committee, it does seem quite common for members to ignore the recommendations of the scoring panel in terms of agreeing applications and stuff. And maybe we just want to be really nice, but it is our own criteria, and this is something that I may be minded to add as an additional recommendation, just to re-review the criteria again, because you know, we've got this criteria, the scoring panel bases our recommendations off that criteria, and you know, in my opinion, more often than not, it seems that there's certain councillors who maybe just want to be nice and just want to keep giving money to everything, regardless of what the scoring panel says. So, Ingrid, could we add that as a recommendation to hold a members' briefing just to review the criteria of the common good in the near future? I'm conscious that we did agree it. I think it was in March last year, but maybe it's not as tight as we'd like it to be. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We can certainly note that as an action and bring that forward to the next meeting. Yep.
So I think we've got a proposal on the table. Councillor Giusti, can you just tell us what your proposal was again? Can you just go over that? Thanks.
I propose is that we follow the scoring panel's recommendations for both the Water Sports Association and for the Millennium Centre. and that would dip into our capital reserves to provide the is it a £5,000 grant for the Stranraer Development Trust.
And I think Councillor Scobie wanted to approve the Millennium Centre, but as a loan. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on that?
If we were to go down that route, Chair, I would support maybe some closer to Councillor Hill's suggestion, which, let's say, for example, a grant in my terms, it would be a full grant to the Workforce Association, a 50-50 between loan and grant to the Playing Centre, and again, it would be the £5,000 out of the capital reserves for the Development Trust.
William, back in your hands. I'm assuming that's not...
You're not back in my hands, Chair. I haven't moved anything.
Yeah.
I've made a comment.
Yeah.
So I've not moved anything.
Okay.
So I'm not, you're not back in my hands.
Okay. I think, I don't know. I mean, Andrew, if you're proposing that as a motion, do you have a seconder at all?
But that's up to the committee, Chair.
Yeah, Councillor Hill.
Chair, can we hear your views, please?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I'm happy to agree all of them. However, I would be minded to give the Millennium Centre some of it as a loan, just like you said, Councillor Hill. I don't know if we want to settle on a figure, maybe, or so. Did you suggest one earlier?
Yeah, I'd suggested just 10,000 loan because it's a straightforward number, and then the 9,634 as the grant.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to go with that unless there's any alternative views. Councillor Giusti.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in a curveball here. So, from what I'm getting here, everyone's prepared to dip into capital reserves for the Development Trust. On that basis, we will be able to the Development Trust a grant through our current funding pot, give the award to the Workforce Association and give the half grant to the Millennium Centre, and that would leave us with £5,000 or so, or £4,000 an hour in pot. I've not done the quick maths there, for Christmas, and then we take the loan aspect of the Millennium Centre out of the capital reserves. Does that make any kind of sense?
Ingrid, can you handle that one?
So my sound wasn't 100% there. Sorry, Councillor, could I ask you just to repeat that again for me, please?
So I'm going to move into an application with less fans and buzzing. Is the sound better now? Is that yes? Is the sound better now? Sorry.
Ingrid?
Sorry, yes. Sorry, apologies.
Yes. So my thoughts here are: do we give the full grant of the full grant to the Development Trust through our current funding today, what we've got, and do we give a full grant to the Workforce Association from the money we have today, and then we give a partial grant of, I don't know, half of what the Millennium Centre are requesting for our money today, and do we put the loan amount into the capital reserves, and then that would leave us with a couple of £1,000, I think £4,000 or so, for the next grant session for Christmas. Is that doable?
I suppose members would be looking to draw down money when they need to draw down money, and I think what you're proposing means that you would still have £5,000 in your pot, but either way, I guess it's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same amount of money. You're going to have to dip into your capital at some point, whichever way you choose to go.
I could just come back really quickly on that, Chair. Would the loan repayments from the Millennium Centre, if we were to go down that route, would they go directly back to our capital account and not into our general pot?
Yeah, through yourself, Chair, so the loans would come back into your capital reserve pot, is my understanding, to pay back the loan. If, depending on where you take the money from, this is getting very confusing.
Okay, I'll bring in Councillor Helm.
Yeah, that sounds. I've just done the math. So if we gave the Millennium Centre a grant of 9,634, the water sports 10,000, and the development trust 5,000, that's 24,634, which would leave 4,666 in our pot. And then, like Councillor Ducey said, that could be used for later on in the year for Christmas. And the £10,000 comes out of the capital fund and is paid back into the capital fund. I think, is that how it works in grid? Because that sounds about, I think that's what Councillor Ducey was getting at with those figures.
Yeah, I can certainly work with finance to request that, yes.
Okay, I think we're getting to a way forward here. Ingrid, can you just recite that back to us? Councillor Hill's maths there. Thanks.
Just 1 second. Okay, so I think what members are proposing is that the Millennium Centre are given £9,634 in a grant and 10,000 in a loan that comes from the capital fund. The Development Trust is awarded £5,000 and the Water Sports is awarded £10,000.
Yeah.
I propose that.
Okay, and how much does that leave us in our pot, if anything?
£4,666.
About 4,500 approximately.
Okay, thanks, Ingrid. I'm content with those proposals. Members, is there unanimous consent?
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't need to go to a vote or anything. Good. Yeah, Ingrid, I think that's a decision of the committee in regards to the funding application. So I'll just go back to the recommendations unless there's any other comments. So. Members are asked to 2.1 note that the forecasted free income balance of £29,300 is available for disbursement this year. We've noted the agreed grant criteria and we've also agreed to hold a members briefing in the near future just to go over the criteria. That's great. And 2.3, we've considered and agreed the awards to applicants as detailed in paragraph 4.12 in appendix 2, and we've agreed a way forward in terms of the finances and which applications we're supporting. So that's great. What I would also add, just as perhaps an additional recommendation, is this is something that a lot of common good committees are trying to include now in terms of their papers, but I'm not sure that members have a proper sight of the common good locally in terms of the specific land and assets which are common good within the Stranraer Borough. Would it be possible at the next committee or maybe even a seminar or something just to go over the specific local Stranraer, get an itemised list or whatever of common good land and assets within the Stranraer Borough, because it's really important that we have sight of, you know, what is common good and what isn't common good in terms of how we spend that money. Ingrid.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So certainly I can take that away as an action and work with colleagues within property estates and legal to look at that. I'm not sure that we could do it for the next meeting. I've done it for other common goods. It's a piece of work that takes a bit of time, but certainly can take that forward as an action to get it brought back to members as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not a speedy process because it takes some time to gather that information. But no, that'd be really useful. Thanks, Ingrid. Councillor Hill.
Yeah, I agree that information would be good, but I think it should be brought back to a meeting, not a seminar, so that the public are aware of what's common good land within Stranraer as well. Thanks.
Yeah. So not the next committee then, because Ingrid said it will take some time. So maybe the one after that, perhaps. So it's within the public domain, and we can really get to grips on this information. Chrissy.
Yeah, it would be also good, you know how you read out the extra questions there, Ingrid, and Councillor Scobie commented that, you know, it would be good for committee members to have sight of those. It would be good, you know, any extra information that's actually put into the papers, please, so that we have a better sight on things, particularly when, you know, the scoring panel have been asking those extra questions. It's a shame we don't get to see the applications as well, but sight on any extra information would be really more informative. Thanks.
Ingrid.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean that ordinarily we would have put that in the summary document. It's just been timing on this occasion, but absolutely, officers will try to make sure you've got as much information as possible in front of you, so that you can make informed decisions.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, I think that concludes item 3. So moving on is AOCB. I have no other urgent items of business unless members wish to raise anything. Nope. I think that concludes our meeting for today. Thank you everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks Ingrid. And see you at the next meeting. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.